mean, what does a game being hard have to do with fucking labbing? The hell? Where's the depth in sitting in training mode? It's an exaggeration, man. Okay, that's cool and all, right? It's great that's an exaggeration, but you're talking about people want to sit in the lab for 10 years before you hop into a match. When does that happen? You can even be sitting in a lab for a little bit. Like, where's the depth in labbing? It makes no sense. Like, your argument just doesn't make sense, even if it's an exaggeration. What makes a game hard is proper thought process while playing. Not even motion inputs. What makes a game hard is the thought process you need in order to play the character successfully. To give you a demonstration, why don't we just go into BlazBlue right now and I'll demonstrate to you why this game is hard compared to Strive, for example. I'm gonna show you an example of what I think makes a fighting game hard. And this is just my opinion, but I do think this is a common denominator that most people would agree with. So Strive overall on average is like an easy-ish fighting game. It is something that has a very simple level entry barrier, and the higher you go, the higher you can express yourself as a player and your character. It's a very good learning curve for this game. I think this game is very fair, but let's go over a simple explanation of why I think BlazBlue is a lot harder. And I can show this by this fucking clip alone. So the character that I play is called Rachel, right? And Rachel is one of the hardest characters in BlazBlue, period. She's insanely hard to pick up and insanely hard to play optimally. This character has been out since 2015 and people still haven't found the most optimal setups for this character. That's like the level of depth she has, right? And the reason why she's so deep is because of her wind mechanic. So the mechanic that she has is her wind mechanic allows her to go anywhere across the screen, but also move every single object that she has across the screen. So for example, she has like a frog, and that frog she can push with wind towards, it's like a trap, and then she has like several other things that she can throw onto the screen in order to oppress you and keep pressure up, correct? And the thing that makes this really hard is to constantly keep track of the awareness of the spacing on where your opponent is and where he is going to go while trying to get your setups and trying to get combos during it. So for example, right here, the thing that I'm doing is I'm setting up a tiny lotus, like one pole that you can use, and you can electrify it. So there's like a command where you can electrify it, which means if somebody runs through the pole and they don't block, they will get hit and they can get comboed. So what I'm trying to do right here is at the same time, while I'm trying to already be aware of my opponent's positioning, what my opponent is going to do, and what I'm planning to do, I also have to take account all the items that are on here, on the same board, as well as also account for my wind gauge and my meter. So I have to like look exactly into like when I can use my wind gauge in order to push certain objects towards my opponent. So for example, in pressure, something that I did is I summoned the frog, and then I was the one who was on block stun. So what I did afterwards is I used the wind to get the frog towards me so it would hit my opponent, right? Like in order to get like approaches and that. That type of shit on top of her inputs are hard. And this is not even her optimal combos. This is just like generally playing the game. Like you're generally watching already like your opponent's steps as well as your own and the things that you placed around you. It is insanely hard to keep track of it. Like just look at the simple gameplay here, and this is like a beginner gameplay. This isn't even optimized. I'm not good at this game. But like look at how much I as like a beginner BlazBlue player have to pay attention on the screen and everything else compared to me playing Strive. Like just that alone. Like I move the wind here, I position those two here so I can backdash later on if I fail my inputs. Right, if I fail my fucking block string. So what I did afterwards was use it so I could backdash afterwards, then get a full combo into Tiny Lobelia again, which I failed. But right here I would go to Wurzer and try to pressure her again, and then get Tiny Lobelia on, as well as my super to keep her away again. Either that or to pressure, it really depends on the situation. And with her, you just have to constantly be on the move as well. So you have to position all your things, then move, then get like the bats onto her, which you can do by letting go of the, you can do by letting go of the stick, like letting go of the pole. You can make them bats, and then you can use the wind to get them onto it, so you can like stick it onto the opponent and use it like whenever for a certain specific amount of time. And you only have a certain time frame to hit that as well. So like these sections alone is what makes the character hard, and then you have to learn the optimal combos in the regular game of a fighting game. That to me is a million times harder than anything that Guilty Gear Strive does ever. Because in Guilty Gear Strive, all I need to be aware of is where I'm at and where my opponent's at, and in which state of the game we are. Yo, was that perfect? Also confirming it's a lot easier.
Perfect. God, bro, get shit on.
Like, I can give you like any amount of gameplay that I can show you, and like I could explain like how deep it goes, because this is beginner level. Like, have it like look at like Rachel at like top level, for example, right? So this is Rachel at top level, just so you can like see what a Rachel usually has to do to even be able to play the game. Yeah, like actively try to push onto your opponent and have you like regular mix, like try to get it in, then you gotta think again for the next setup, then you gotta continue doing that. And then you also have to worry about a combo execution. She always has to run away, she always has to get away in order to set up her stuff. And if you get caught, that's it. So you have to effectively use your wind mechanic in combos, neutral, disadvantage, and in general while getting away, and during mix-ups. So like, not only are your inputs a lot harder, but also your thought process a lot harder. Because you gotta consider like everything essentially. You gotta consider, what if your opponent jumps up? What is the option? What is the best option I can go for there? What if he tries to chase me? What if he tries to do this? Like, you just have to think like 5-dimensional for the most part, where you have to not only think about your opponent, how in other fighting games is that the case. Like, usually in other fighting games, in like easier fighting games right now, your general thought process is mostly, what does my opponent want to do and what is the best option I have against that. In this, you got, for her, because she's set play, you have to think, where do I position my frog if I get into disadvantage? Where do I position anything? Where do I position myself with my win in order to set things up? And this shit goes like way beyond just like simple, where's my opponent going to be? It is setting up for like 5 moves in advance essentially. This comes back to my exaggeration with the technically how the character should be proportional to lab time. Yeah, but this has nothing to do with labbing. This is pure, this is like, my point is, no matter how much you lab with Rachel, you will not always find the best solution. Like, this character is so hard that she can't be played optimal 5 years or 6 years into the fucking game. And no amount of labbing will help you there. It is all just using your brain in a match. If you lab your combos perfectly, that's fine and all, but you can't replicate this if you just sit in the lab. Like, you have to actively figure out strategies while playing. That's what made Rachel for me really fucking fun. Yeah, Rachel relies on adapting, you can't lab that. Like, that's what made her, to me, insanely fun, because I had to think outside the box constantly. She was constantly something that was out of my comfort zone, which is why I really loved those 3 days where I played BlazBlue. And don't get me wrong, I still love Strive, I like Strive even better, but like, this, like, you have to fight against people who are equal to your level, and you have to genuinely try to outplay them in 5 different ways. And there is no amount of labbing that will ever teach you that. Like, you just gotta play, and you gotta play, and you gotta figure out shit, and you can't do, like, it's fucking insane. It's so cool. Like, I love it. Like, right here, like, he escaped. Like, this simple motion right here is, like, so fucking cool to me. Right here, he dashed away up left, and then to the side, so you could control the wind exactly. So if he would even dash forward a little bit, she could hit exactly that fucking tiny Lobelia to hit him. So what? It's exactly what fucking happened. Like, that shit is so deep alone, I fucking love it. Like, he positioned himself through the wind specifically, so if he would dash even a little bit, he would get caught. If he did anything else, he would have gotten through. It's so fucking cool to me. Oh boy, this is gonna do so much damage. Oh my god. Oh my god. Is he dead? Oh, no way. The execution was hard as shit too. I'm not gonna lie. Basic combos in this game are also hella hard. You have no idea how hard these combos are just because you have to add like a wind mechanic to it. Oh my god. Or like these setups in general. It's so fun though. I don't care how hard I didn't care how hard it was. It was so fun. Like, look at that setup alone. Like, look at that setup alone. That setup alone, like, use the frog at exactly that position with all the things that he set up beforehand, just so you can extend the combo to a certain extent. Oh my god. Like, he used the wind exactly so the frog would set up for it. It's so fucking cool. Like, the funny thing is, Rachel isn't even the hardest character in this game. There's, like, more like 4 more characters that are all top tier as well, because, like, they like, in this game, they really reward, thought process.
Big fan.
And, like, hard characters over anything. There are 4 more characters in this game that are way harder than Rachel, too. So there's, like, she's not, like, the hardest exception or something like Zato. There's, like, so many characters that have so many, like, insane setups that you gotta think about. Like, on defense, offense, neutral, all of that fucking shit. Like, it's fucking insane. And that's what people talk about when they talk about a deep fighting game. And I can totally understand if it's something that they're missing. But I think, like, something like the League Fighting game and Guilty Gear Strive are still very, very good games to enjoy. You can have a different layer of depth to your game that doesn't have to do with this.